Hey, Float Magic fans, it's Shawnee coming to you from the Salt Cave today. We have a couple of guests with us. We're excited to get a little recap on a race that they both ran recently. We have Earl Reed and Ishmael Anguiano. They both just got done completing the Boston Marathon. So yeah, super impressed by these gentlemen and just really thrilled to have you on today. So our viewership can learn a little bit more about what got you into running and what your history of running has been and how you found us at Float Magic. So welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I got into running years ago just because a guy that worked for me came in one day and sat down and said, I just ran a marathon. I looked at him and I thought, you did? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, I'm thinking, well, if you run a marathon, I can run a marathon. And I went home and started training. Started running, and then got with a great group of friends locally. Mm-hmm. And we had a really strong local running group and just kept training, running, and lucked out. My first one I qualified for was St. George for Boston. And it was a buddy of mine that caught me on the race course. And he said, you better hurry up, because I was hitting the wall. I wasn't doing well. And I looked back, I thought, where'd you come from? And I picked it up and luckily qualified then. That was back in 94.
1994 was your first qualified Boston
First
run.
Qualified for it, and then I ran it in 95.
Wow, that's awesome. So, and how many have you run, Earl?
Of Boston's, this was my 9th official Boston, and then 10th counting the COVID run.
Okay, so that's...
I did the lonesome run in the farm country with Manning from Filer. So
how was your time with that one?
It was okay. It was a 3:30. It was a rough run. Mm-hmm. It's kind of you're by yourself the whole time. So
those are tough. Yeah. Those are very tough.
As we all know. So it was a little rough, but it was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's impressive. And then Ishmael, this was your first Boston.
This was my first Boston. Qualified in Rebel, Big Bear, California. That was actually the fastest time I updated my time. I actually qualified in Denver, Colorado for the Rocky Rebel. That was one time that I wasn't even expecting I was going to get there. My brother asked me, he's like, hey, what's your expected time? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll shoot for a 3-hour time. And I qualified for Boston. And he looks at me like, no, really, what's your expected time? And I'm like, 3 hours, man. He's like, well, why would I lie to you? He goes like, you've been running with me for quite a while now. And he goes, I know what you're capable of. It's like 3 hours is doable. And I'm like, well, then I'm going to get 3 hours. And I ended up running that course, and I did a lot better than I expected. I ended up getting like a 2:36.
Wow.
On that day.
Yeah.
And he was like, see, I told you we were going to qualify. I'm like, well, it's like, I guess I went in there thinking I was going to get a higher time than I was. And then that one kind of lit a fire in me. I'm like, okay, it's like, let's see how fast I can possibly go. So that's when I ran California, and I got a 2:24 there. And I'm like, it's like, I just keep trying to break these barriers and just try to get faster and faster every time.
So what was your time in Boston? In
Boston, I got a 2:35, 2:35.25.
Okay.
And wow. But that run was something else, actually.
I bet the energy in that run is just something to comment to. What was your time, Earl?
It was way not what I wanted.
Not to compare,
Yeah. I was an hour behind him.
If I'm still running at his age, I'll be more than happy. Okay, we got 9 Boston marathons under his belt. He's a legend to me, right? That's insane. So it's like,
I was at 3:35, and I was hoping to be right around 3:25.
Okay.
I ran it the year before at 3:28. So
wow.
Yeah. And I can do it. I just didn't do it that day.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what running is? Yeah. Your body shows up in its condition it's in and gives what it's got.
And then the weather conditions wasn't ideal either. I mean, it was raining that day, and it was just, we had some headwind. So, you give it what you got, It's like, so it's definitely a lot to take in on that day. So my first major, your 9th now. the vibe, the feeling is different. It's incredible. What did you think about it though? What did you think about the experience compared to all your other runs, like that you ran Boston? How would you compare this one to the others?
The when you go to Boston, it's not just. I mean, every runner you're around is qualified. I mean, so they're all serious runners. I mean, there are some people for charities, which is really wonderful, but most of the people are qualified runners. So you're running against the best in your group, pretty much, the best. And it's a whole different game. I mean, they're serious. You go to New York, and it's a lot more laid back. People are having fun. It's a little crazier. There's a lot more outfits in New York. But Boston, they're pretty serious. Everybody straps on their stuff. This is game on. But the crowd's great. The course is tough. There's nothing easy about Boston.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I've never ran it in a sub. I've never ran negative splits in Boston. So that'd be probably a goal, but it's tough to do.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to give up too much the first half, lose it, and then try to gain it back. So
sure,
it's a tough one.
There you go.
Did you run negative?
Yeah. I planned different for this run. When before I started, I have a friend who kind of coaches me through like how I should run a race sometimes, and I was like given so you got experience. She also has experience in Boston. So she ran it a couple times, and she told me, like, hey, don't overdo it. Don't run fast in the beginning, because the real race begins at mile 17. And so I took it to heart, and I'm like, okay, I trust her, and she's never strayed me wrong, so I'm gonna listen. So I took it easy for the first 17 miles. I'm not saying it was super easy, but I'm saying like I kept a conservative pace, whereas I knew what I was going to hit come mile 17. No one, I mean, she didn't warn me about all these rollers, right? Okay. They call it Heartbreak Hill after, I believe it was mile 17 or 18 or somewhere in there. Whereas, I mean, it's a hill, it's heartbreaking, right? Yeah. So, that's what I was preparing myself for. And I'm like, okay, I was like, I'll save it till Heartbreak Hill. But it's all the hills and rollers leading up to that makes Heartbreak Hill heartbreaking.
So hard.
Yeah. But I was able to conserve my energy and save it to mile 17. And I'm like, all right, this is where the real race begins. Mm-hmm. So I got up those hills, and I was like, because it was from like 17 to 21 that we just kept on climbing pretty much. And then the second I got on top of 21, I believe that's kind of where I hit a wall a little bit. And I lost a little bit of time between 21 and 22. But then the crowd got me fired up. I don't know what happened about 22, but they were loud. Mm-hmm. I've never ran a race that was just that loud. I mean, you couldn't hear, if you had headphones on, there's no way you would have listened to music. And the crowd's just cheering you on, and they were just, yelling and everything. And I had a shirt that said, never give up. And I just kept hearing that throughout the whole entire run. He was like, never give up, man. He's like, never give up. And he goes, 2:48. He's like, never give up. Do what your shirt says. I'm like, man, these guys were just inspiring me. Mm-hmm. So after mile 22, and I kept on hearing that and everything, I'm like, I want to give this everything I got. So I came here to compete. I came here to give it everything I got. So I did. And that's actually from 22 all the way to 26.2. I ran my negative splits. But until then, I kind of kept it conservative and just kept it at my pace until I got over those hills. So that's where I actually got my negative splits, was towards the last 4-5 miles.
Well, and it's great that you mentioned the crowd. I know I recently watched the documentary that came out that was surrounding not so great events around Boston Marathon and the bombing 10 years ago. However, it really talked about the champion spirit that Boston has surrounding this race, and how much the community pulls together and comes out. They're so proud of this event.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, because it's it's a world stage, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole world is coming, watching, tapping in. There's competitors from all over the world. So is that kind of the spirit that's always been present? Was there a difference this year from other years, or?
I definitely think it's stronger, especially being the 10th anniversary. Most of the people when they look at Boston and from Boston, it's not the Boston Marathon, it's their marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they really, like you said, they take ownership in it.
Mhm.
They all had flowers out at their houses and everywhere, the yellow daisies and different things,
Mhm.
celebrating the 10-year anniversary. And they take a lot of, they're proud of this race.
Yeah.
And it's a huge race
Yeah.
for the town. And everywhere you go, people are, you walk down the street later, they see your jacket or your medal. They're always going, "Oh, great, you did it. How'd it go?" And, fantastic, great job. These are strangers that, will never see them again. And,
And
I've
here
met
they are,
some
a
neat
big fan.
yeah,
Yeah.
fans.
In that
I've been
moment.
lucky to meet some neat people there that I've kind of got a little bit of friendship with that come out and cheer for me at mile 23. And, they're all at the bar and I'm going by. And so it's a fun, because it's not too far from where my wife usually stands. And so people are great.
That's
And-
wonderful. Yeah, and to put it in perspective, this is a large race. There's over 21,000,
27,000 this year.
27,000
Yeah.
participants.
So
Yeah,
it's a
that
lot
is a lot of people. That's like a whole population. That's an Idaho City,
That's
Yeah.
running.
huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
and running the streets of Boston. Wow. So, other big races that you've been a part of, Earl. I know that you've done quite a few.
I've done, I'm kind of not sure really how many marathons I've done total, but it's over 25. But I've ran New York a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's my daughter goes to school there, so we go back every year. This will be the first fall I'm not going back to New York, but New York is a great run. Crowd's way different and so are the people, and so are the racers. But it's a well-attended crowd. I mean, that New York is packed because of the ability to line the streets. It's packed from start to finish.
Oh, wow.
Solid crowd.
Wow.
Loud. You go through Brooklyn, different parts. You go through all the boroughs,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
That's fun.
And Ishmael, you're doing it this year?
Yeah. November 5th. I just got a letter or an email or whatnot saying I am in, so I'm excited for it. Actually, I just got done preparing for Boston and now New York, and I just think they say that Boston's the hardest run out of all the 6 majors, and then they say that New York's the second. So if I did 2:35 in Boston, I'm hoping for a better time here in New York. But I mean, I still got quite a ways to train, but I'm hoping to go under there. So
And it's a better time to train.
it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot better. Oh, how many majors though have you ran? Just in general?
I've only run 2. This Boston and New York, and then I've scheduled to run Berlin this fall, which I'm really excited about, because actually my son's also going to be there, and that'll put 3 majors for both of us.
So he's running also.
Yeah,
in
he's running
Berlin.
also.
Yeah.
Berlin.
He's not as fast as Ishmael, but he's fast. He can run a lot of not easy, but he runs sub 3s. Boston was tough. He ran a 3:01.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody was off.
Boston's no joke.
Yeah.
Boston's no joke.
It's no joke.
Out of every run that I've done, I mean, I would say that's probably the second or third hardest marathon that I've ran. I'm like, so it's compared to all of the other marathons. I'm like, I thought it was gonna be easier. It's like, I think it's like a major. It's like how you say Berlin, the fastest marathoners have ran there, and I think they ran a 2:01 this last little bit. I was like 2:01:25 by Kipchoge, and that's all flat. All flat, straight path, and I'm thinking those are what majors are like. It's like you prepare for this, you just run a flat course and see how fast the body can possibly go. No, it was nothing like that. It was roller after roller after roller. I'm like, are these ever gonna stop? I'm like, I thought what happened in some flat courses, it's like, it definitely was not what I was prepared for. I was prepared for Heartbreak Hill in mile 17, but that's it. I was like, I didn't expect anything before 1 through 17. I thought,
All the teasers leading up
yeah.
to
I was like,
heartbreak.
I was like, the heartbreak was the fact that all these other rollers kept on coming. I'm like, shoes. But
well, and speaking to that, I know that both of you probably train a little differently, right? Like Earl, how do you prepare for a major event or major run like this? What's kind of your process?
Oh, it's if I'm doing it the way I really want to do it. I mean, I do a lot of. I think Ishmael does the same thing. I do a lot of speed work, hills, and then I'll run quite a bit of good pace runs. I've been backing off on my mileage a little because wear and tear on the body. I think there's some books out there that's talking about titles "Run Less, Run Faster," but you don't run junk miles. You try to run quality miles, get something out of everything. But there are days that he knows you just kind of like to leave the watch at home. But I can't do that, so I always got to have my watch.
Gotta have it.
It's my friend. But training like that, there's another great thing that I used to do. I'm going to try to do it again hard this summer. It's called Yasso 800s. And Bart Yasso, which was a great runner, wrote for Runner's World for years, a writer. And the 800s, he goes out and he runs 800 at the same. If you want to do a 3-hour marathon, you run an 800 at 3 minutes. And then you start doing 4 of those, and then you jog a 400 in between. But you start out with 4, and then you build up 1 each week. And so you get to 12.
Okay.
And when you're running 12 of those, plus a mile or 2 warm up and a cool down, it's a really kick tail workout.
Run, yeah.
And if you're doing it, I mean, you're out there running 224 to 225s, 800s, you're flying. To run 2 of those and then build up to 12.
Yeah.
But it teaches you leg speed, turnover, and how to run through that high lactic acid level you hit. It's tough at times. It's tough to push yourself through that mentally. There's times this has been 20 years ago, but my arm would start going numb on the second lap.
Really?
A little bit of numbness, but that's just normal because of the blood. You're pushing so hard. And it's paid off. I mean, before when I did those, I'd be dialed right in. I'd want to run a 255, and I was running those right at 240, 245, and I ran a 255 that year. So it's a great workout.
Yeah. Sounds like it really produces the results that you're looking for. Well, and that's the training of the body, right? And the mind over the body is what's so impressive to me with distance runners. I am not a distance runner, so there's so much of this that I'm just sitting here going, I could maybe if I don't know if I'll ever get to that point in my life, but there's other hard things I've done. I've done other competitions and bodybuilding and things of that nature, and it is the mind over the matter, that is so imperative in your competitive mindset and understanding that my body is capable. It's just the process take it to get there. And I know we've talked a lot, Ishmael, about your process. How did you prepare for the Boston?
So there's I don't have as much experience as Earl here, but I train differently, in my opinion. I only have this could be my 3rd year running now, but I'm more, like you said, mind and body type trainer, pretty much. So I focus more on recovery, and I focus on my mind a lot. It's like, so I come here and I relax and I go into the sauna and I'm meditating in there. Okay, so I meditate and I just clear my mind as much as possible, and then I'll do some contrast therapy. There's 2, do the cold plunge, and that's a battle in itself. All right, try to stand in a cold plunge just in general. Like your body wants to get out. Your fight or flight kicks in. It's like, get me out of here. So I'm training the mind a lot.
Yeah.
When I run, and then when I do my recovery. I push my limits to where my mind is literally telling me no more.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hit that point, that's where I rely on my training and focus on what I've gone through. But that's how I take training into. Like I don't run a lot of miles. Okay. I focus more, like you said, like I do some speed work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but if I feel like I can't put the speed, it's a recovery day. It's coming here, flow magic, using the Novathor, using the sauna, using the cold plunge, even the floats that we got here, even Salt Cave here, just breathing this in, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's how I train. I try to get a lot of heat acclimation in.
Yeah, you came to me the other day after the sauna use.
Yeah,
with that new discovery.
Yeah, it's like I do a lot of. I mean, that's the type of training I do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people come up to me and it's like, so how many miles are you gonna put in this week? I'm like, I just put in whatever my body allows me to put in. He's like, but it's nowhere what some of these people are putting in. They're putting in 100 and some miles a week. I'm like, I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never ran 100 miles in a week. It's like, but I can tell you, it's like I focus on recovery. Mm-hmm. Recovery is my main to-go thing, and that's how I train.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. Yeah, do you mind if I share what you discovered in the sauna last week?
Yeah.
So comes to me after using the sauna. He goes, "Look at this, your Apple Watch or your Garmin."
My Garmin,
yeah.
So I wore my Garmin watch while I was in the sauna, and I didn't have the little timer, so I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna time it, put it on cardio club." Good. And it actually told me that I got acclimated for altitude.
Oh,
so
interesting.
It's because your body is getting so hard, of like you're being in there for so long and breathing is becoming harder and harder and harder. It's like you're adapting to that altitude training, because when you're up there running at 12,000 feet, you're not getting the best result in breathing.
Yeah, you're not getting the oxygen capacity that you normally get.
Yeah.
So it gave me some altitude acclimation. I'm like, man, that's great. I've been doing this whole entire time, and I had no clue that it was helping me out in this aspect. Yeah. So to learn something new, to me, is exciting. I mean, I read a lot of books. I read on a lot, because whatever we've done has been done by someone else before.
Mm-hmm. Most.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Until it gets broken. So yeah, it's definitely something new that I learned, and I've never read about it, so I looked it up, and it actually is true. It says that it helps with acclimation. Yeah. So because of the red blood cells and everything being produced while you're in the sauna. So
the sauna and that stress component. Yeah, it's pretty...
I'm over here meditating, and it gave me more benefits than I thought. I'm like,
which is so great. And I know, Earl, you found us coming in before the race for the Novathor.
Yeah.
And then you've used it since the race. So do you feel like that gave you any added recovery benefit or edge in preparing for the race?
Well, I've only done it twice, but I definitely felt a gain, because I deal with probably more inflammation, but maybe my joints hurt more than yours.
I feel it, man. I'm with you. I feel like I'm getting old.
So I definitely felt a benefit from that, and afterwards. I would love to try it more. Ishmael is typical of a younger generation. He's on a whole new recovery mode that I didn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, my recovery when I started was cold soaks in your tub, ice baths. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what we had for recovery after a long run, ice bath, and just rest and stretch, which I was terrible. I'm terrible at stretching, so that's needs to be part of my training.
Foam roller.
And but I'm really excited now to try more of the tools here, and have Ishmael pick his brain,
right?
Hey,
and what he's learned here.
Whenever you want, I'm more than willing to help. This place has got me where I'm at.
Well, I definitely am excited to try this stuff and see what can help. I've done some other things like hot yoga, different things. I think anything that pushes your body to different extremes that you haven't been doing all the time, I think helps. And listening to the sauna,
it's a great added benefit.
Well,
even my favorite. So
Yeah. Oh, yes. The sauna is Ishmael's favorite. He always
I
says
love it.
that's
the thing.
that's
That's
his
your go-to.
go-to. But the salt cave too, what we've noticed with a lot of individuals, it increases their ability to oxygenate.
Yeah.
Also, their oxygen capacity increases because of the lungs opening up.
Yeah, I
due to
use
the
this.
salt.
I use this during windy conditions, so it definitely helps in that aspect.
Yeah, so wonderful. Well, I'm excited to see where it takes you athletes too. I'm, again, just super impressed that you guys put yourself out there and put those challenges in place, and really grateful that you find Float Magic to be of benefit for you guys. That's why we're here. We're really excited to be in
I
the
appreciate you guys
community.
being here. So
So yeah, well, thanks for coming out and joining us today.
Well,
We really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. So just want to remind our viewership that you can find us on anywhere you find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. We're on a lot of our social media sites. It's Float Magic Podcast. You can tune in. We'll drop every 2 weeks, and lots of content to go through. A lot of client stories, a lot of community stories, and a lot of information about the services we provide. So thanks for tuning in today, and just remember, it's perfectly okay to stay salty.